Hey, I'm Trin. These are some tips on the DRIBBLE flower fan. Many people have texted me asking for tips ever since the con this year, so here's what I found helpful. Alright, so first things first, deck condition matters a lot. An older, softer deck goes a long way. A newer deck, a newer, stiffer deck, just will not work as well as something that's old, soft, has been sprung many times, has been bent many times. It just makes the dribble aspect of the move so much easier. You get a much more even dribble. You can worry less about actually, like manually placing the cards evenly. It works better with an older deck. It does. So the starting position, you're going to want, as you're coming back to start forming the fan, you're going to want the deck to be placed with this corner right here. So the non-pipped corner that's facing essentially your four fingers, you're going to want that corner to be right about at the second knuckle of your middle finger. See right here, it's kind of cutting through that second knuckle of my middle finger, and it's at the same time the deck is laying flat across this tiny bit of my middle finger as well as my index. The part of my thumb that's contacting the deck is this knuckle right here. It's the one that's contacting the deck. You're going to see it's a relatively deep grip for my thumb. The tip of my thumb is poking out, so I don't have the tip of my thumb on the deck. You're going to want to push this back as far as it goes, so it's not quite going to touch the flesh of your thumb right here, but you should be able to move that back quite a bit before it gets stopped by the index finger right here and by your thumb right here. Most people will only be able to make a fan that's this big, but the trick to getting the full fan is to dribble the cards sparingly. So try to keep like the larger, trying to keep a large packet for this final dribble right here. But also just making sure that the back of your right hand lays flat against this palm section of my left hand. And then you should just be able to move your right hand out. Something else is the last third of this dribble flower fan is less of a dribble and more of a pull. Kind of see that? And you're going to be applying a little more pressure than you do for the dribble. So ideally for the dribble section, you're not going to be applying too much pressure at all. The cards should kind of just dribble out. And as you're moving your hand, that fan will form. For this final section, as you kind of get closer to the last few cards, you're going to be applying a bit more pressure to get those cards to fan out. But at the same time, you're going to be pulling down, and you can see the cards naturally kind of spread out as you pull on this bottom section. So the pressure there is different. Something else is that people usually point out that their fan starts breaking somewhere in the middle, like you can see here. So in most cases, people will find that this break happens. What's happening there is the cards are getting caught in between this, within this like kind of ridge between your fingers, and it's making it so that the dribble will split naturally because the cards kind of fall into this section and they kind of like group together. What you're gonna want to do is just make sure that obviously you're dribbling at a reasonable pace, so not too fast, but that the arc you create with this dribble kind of spans the middle finger and goes through to the ring finger. At the second knuckle of my middle finger is where the deck should be resting when I first start. And so this corner will kind of create an arc as you form the rest of the fan. And making sure this arc exists between these two fingers, your middle and your ring finger, is pretty crucial in allowing the cards to stay together, because there's less of a likelihood that they'll fall into any of the other gaps between your fingers. If I keep the arc within these two fingers, I really only have to worry about the cards lining up with this middle gap, but not with the cards lining up with any of the other gaps, because they'll be laying diagonal to them. But if I were to have the ring be larger, so this inner arc be larger, so let's say I were to have this inner arc span, like all 4 fingers, for example, I would have to worry about the cards lining up with each of these 3 gaps and causing breaks at all those positions. So instead, by keeping the arc just between these 2 fingers, it makes it so that I really only have to worry about not spreading a card right in the gap here. So as long as all the cards are spread out so that they're avoiding this gap, you're good. Yeah. If you guys need any help with any specific things, please message me on Instagram and I'll do my best to get back to you.